Yo, what's up? My name is Royce the 5'9", and right now you checking out allhiphop.com. Peace, love, and respect.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your man Chuck Creekmur, aka Jigsaw, here at One World Studios with allhiphop.com, and we are here with my man Royce the 5'9".
You, my guy.
I don't know what to say about you anymore. Like the
What?
goat, the you know what I mean? I think I'm gonna keep it real with you. I think we last time we talked, which was really only in December. I had you in my top 10. I think already we moving into top 5 territory.
I'm moving up already. Damn, that's love, man.
Yeah, we moving into top 10, top 5 territory. Now, first of all, we gotta appreciate the goat.
Oh, the ring.
The goat ring. We gotta appreciate that. Salute the goat ring. So I gotta ask you about the goat ring. What makes you wear that ring?
It's an ode to the greatest.
Mm-hmm.
To all the greatest. I don't particularly feel like there's one greatest of all time. Just because hip hop is so subjective, it's opinionated.
Yeah.
There's a certain, in order to be in these conversations, there's a certain respect level that you have to have for the people that paved the way for you.
Mm-hmm.
So there'll never be a day that you hear me say that I'm better than Jay-Z, Nas,
Yeah.
KRS-One, Rakim, Kane. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's Jordan is my favorite player of all time, but you got Kobe, you got LeBron, but Jordan came first.
Right.
So because Jordan came first, he should always get that carte blanche in my mind.
Right.
So that's how I look at the legends and the greats who I admire still to this day. And I think you should think the world of yourself. As an artist, you should always think the world of yourself. So I just put myself in the conversation while I'm saluting the goats.
Okay. We had a conversation earlier about you, and I put you in a special league of rappers who've been doing it for an extended period of time at a high level. Bars, classic albums, et cetera, et cetera. And there were a number of names mentioned. We already know the greats, the Rakims and the Cool G Raps. But in terms of longevity, there's yourself, T.I., Black Thought, and others. And that conversation is ongoing. But what I want to ask you is, with your current situation as a star, and I call you a star now because I think you've achieved that status that's steadily rising, whereas others are, either holding their position or maybe in decline. Where do you put yourself now?
In terms of what, like ranked?
Yeah, ranked. I mean, obviously you have the GOAT, on your hand, but just give your honest assessment.
It's tough for me to do. It's like I'm not so sure that's how rankings work. Like
You don't think so?
fighters don't rank themselves.
Right.
Like Terrence,
Floyd does though.
well, he feels he's the best.
Yeah.
He feels he's the best, but I mean, he didn't put himself there. The people put him there.
Okay.
I've disagreed with a lot of lists I've seen. Like I feel like people should place me higher sometimes, but I don't place myself. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And that's that's where I'm at with it. My thing is just to go in and do the work.
Yeah.
Is to always do the work, stay consistent, always be respectful to the culture, do everything as transparent as possible, and don't cut any corners, and put in all the work necessary to put in, and nothing can go wrong.
Okay.
Nothing can go wrong. That's my thing. I live by that.
That makes a lot of sense. I was talking to your manager Keno earlier, and we had a great conversation. But one thing I told him was that, I found it interesting that a person from the Netherlands hit me about you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And a person from New York City recently hit me about you.
Okay.
And I found that interesting because to me, that's a compelling argument. First of all, if you know New York, New Yorkers are infamously arrogant. And I say that respectfully. You know what I'm saying? It's earned arrogance.
Respectfully.
And the Netherlands is a place that's many hours away on the other side of the world.
Uh-huh.
But both of them have come to the discovery of you. Now, the dude from New York, I've been talking to him about you for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't give him no passes. But the person in the Netherlands, she's a fan just from the work ethic.
Okay.
How do you see yourself now? You know, you've been in the game for quite some time, and you've been working at a high level for quite some time. But we're seeing you in a different light now. You know, we're seeing you on ESPN. We're seeing you on these top tier media outlets. We're seeing you cultivate a following through whatever social media and other means into like almost like a new level of excellence. You know, greatness. You know, which some earn through being in the game early, but you seem through really just the work.
Yeah, I appreciate it. You know what I mean? Like I definitely don't take it lightly. I don't take it for granted. But like I was telling you in the car, I don't really think about it too much. I just put the work in.
Yeah.
I just put the work in. I feel like every artist, especially those with longevity, you have to reinvent a few times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it just comes with it. Like I said, I just really trust honest work. Right. I really trust when you put in the honest amount of work and when you put in the work in an honest way, I'm very confident about the outcome. Right. You know, and then I'm also okay with the outcome. You know, and I think it's a certain level of zen you got to reach. You know, I'm just of the belief system that you can't really chase it. You got to just let it happen, let it come to you. So I don't chase things around. I don't force things. I just put my best foot forward, and I let it come, and I let the chips fall where they may, and I just try to learn myself. You know, I learned a lot about myself, my karma, how instant it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I just try to live right, do right by people, do the right thing, and put the work in. You know what I mean? So, I mean, really, the only thing that can happen is elevation. You know, a elevated state of consciousness brings on the elevated state of everything else. You know, and I'm constantly trying to better myself, not just as an artist, but as a person. Okay. You know? So.
Talk about counseling. I was told you do counseling or have been through counseling. Yeah. Do you still do it?
Yeah, I still do therapy. I haven't been in a minute. I haven't met my therapist in a minute. Okay. But that's just because I've been traveling and stuff like that. But yeah, I swear by it.
Yeah, talk about that. I mean, I personally, I will admit, you know, and this is something I wouldn't admit previously, but I did counseling and therapy for about 3 years.
Why wouldn't you admit it?
Well, again, this is about maybe 10 years ago, you know, so I think maybe we were in a different space. It's not something that you would talk about too much.
Artists weren't talking about it too much.
Not at all.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah. And I think it's a kind of a taboo thing in the black community. I still don't understand why. Right. But, you know, and I say this with respect, white people, like that's like an amenity. Right. You know, this shit is like a hotel. It's like staying in a hotel and not being able to use the gym. Right. Like not wanting to use the gym. Right. Like, use the fucking sauna, man. You know what I mean? Like use the sauna. Like it's an amenity. Yeah. You know, it's to make you better, you know, and I think a lot of us just have a preconceived notion in our head of what therapy is. We have a picture in our minds of what it is, and very rarely is that picture true when you just being presumptuous. Yeah. You know, it's okay to educate yourself, and it's okay to see, you know, go see the real truth and try new things and think outside of the box and operate a little bit outside of your paradigm. You know what I mean?
Now, Allegory is, as I've stated before, is a really dense album, and I keep using that word dense because it's not something you can listen to once or twice even and intake it all. I've seen memes about lyrics. I've seen people comment about being mentioned in songs. What made you take this approach? And by the way, when I listened to it for the third time, Public Enemy's It Takes a Nation of Millions came to mind, which is not like that's a heavy statement for me because that's literally
one of your favorite.
My favorite, yeah.
Appreciate
the
that.
one. Yeah. What was your thought process? And again, I heard the album in December,
Mm-hmm.
and this is me listening to it probably like 5 times.
Okay.
What's your thought process? What's going on in your head?
Air traffic control.
Okay.
It's just, taking in a lot of information, processing a lot of things, thinking of different ways to apply that information.
Okay.
Sometimes I feel like when I learn certain things or I become privy to certain things that other people need to know.
Yeah.
We just feel like that sometimes. And why not when I'm doing it, every time I do an album, it's just indicative of where I am at the time anyway.
Right.
So I mean, I didn't necessarily plan to do an album. I was just in there, one thing led to another. I started messing with the beats. Next thing you know, I look up, I got an album done.
Right.
It kind of happened to be. Pardon me yawning. Keno got me
It's all good.
waking up early in the morning. I'm not a morning person.
Right.
I record all my vocals at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., and those are like my lightning hours. That's my morning.
Okay.
So, but I'm honored to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. The album just kind of happened to me. You know what I mean? So,
Okay.
Just through the process of learning how to make the beats and watching documentaries and reading books, reading stuff online. Just really just being a nerd.
Yeah.
What
are you reading? What do you read? What have you read?
The last thing I read was the Allegory of the Cave Theory, that by Plato. That was the last thing that kind of inspired the album.
Okay.
That was the last actual book I read. But I'm just constantly reading things online, all the time, all the time. Like I find stuff.
Yeah.
I just figure out a way to find stuff, and if it's interesting to me, I read it. Somebody brings something in and suggests that I read it. I put it to the side, and when I get to it, I read it.
Okay.
I just like reading stuff.
Do you have a specific time to read? I try to read real sporadically, but very short stints.
If it's a book, on the plane.
Okay.
On the plane.
Perfect.
And I prefer short pieces. That way I can just bang them out in one sitting.
Okay. Right.
Because my attention span varies.
Right.
Depending on what's going on and what it is.
Okay. All right. Bet. Now, you have a song, Rhinestone. I wore rhinestones so you don't have to. That's a whole song.
You know about the rhinestones.
I know about the rhinestones. I've seen the rhinestones, but that was in a different era. That's when people were still figuring it out. I think to some extent, and they were leaning heavy on the label or stylist or whoever.
I definitely was.
Talk about that. The importance of that.
I mean, I was told that you need a stylist. You need a stylist when you get into the game and you become an artist. You need a stylist.
Yeah.
Every artist has one. So I just thought it was part of it.
Right.
Because I was told it was part of it. You know what I mean? So I mean, and there were a lot of things that I wore that I didn't necessarily. I was like, I don't know if that's me.
Right.
Because it could be somebody else. Like I don't have to necessarily like the shit. You know what I'm saying? But it may look good on somebody else. Mm-hmm. So it's not like the stylists were bad stylists or anything. They talented ladies. You know what I'm saying? But I was like, I don't think that's really me. And they, oh, you look good in that. You look good. So it was like, I was just wearing all this shit and I was just looking crazy. You know what I mean? Like some of the shit, girls was kind of liking it, because I look shiny. I was an artist. Everything was twinkly.
Right.
But all of that shit ain't hip hop, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's cool to keep it hip hop if that's what you are. You know what I mean? Like I've always been hip hop. I fell in love with the art through open mics.
Yeah.
Battling, rapping for other rappers, gaining the validation of other rappers. You know what I mean? Like that was my first love. My first love was that way of rapping.
Yeah.
So, by the time I signed to like Sony, it was like these plans to make me this big star. Yeah. And it's like, yo, man, like I know that that's a way to do things, but just the way that I am, this can't be created in a boardroom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm just me. That's all I really know how to be. If I try to go out of my way and be anything else, You know,
Yeah.
it won't work.
Now the irony of that is people talk a lot about your fashions now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether you're wearing a suit like you are today or some of the other things that you've worn, people are always talking about what you're wearing. So the question is, do you have a stylist now?
No, of course not.
Right.
Of course not.
Yeah.
I don't even think about shit like that. You know what I mean? Like getting a stylist is like something that's not even on my mind. You know what I mean? Like it's not that serious.
Right, right.
You know, just be you, dress like you, and you know, some people are gonna like it, some people are not, some people won't even care, some people won't even think about it. But it's not a big deal. It's like unless you plan on getting into the fashion industry.
Right.
Hip hop is not fashion. I don't fucking care. I don't care that, you know, big famous artists throw fashion into the mix. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like, is the music good? That's all that matters.
But you do know that people watching are looking at you and intrigued by you. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I've always had I've always loved fashion. Just not in the sense of walking on the runway. You know what I mean? Like, I love fashion. I'm not going to Paris to the fucking fashion week. I don't, no disrespect to anybody who does that. It's just not what I do.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, it's some talented people into that. It's look, Kanye doing amazing things in fashion.
Right, right.
But I don't. That's just not a passion of mine. You know what I mean? And it's not a prerequisite that comes with every artist. You know what I mean? It's not a part of hip hop.
Yeah.
It's an expansion. It's something that some hip hop artists decided to do. Pusha T is getting in fashion. He's doing all type of amazing things.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of hip hop. It's like you can use your platform and you can do other things, but that shit's not hip hop.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
So it's like if you're a hip hop artist and you don't dress well, we gonna crack jokes about you just because you don't dress well.
Right.
You know what I mean? But if your songs is dope, we gonna listen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know.
I was thinking about you earlier because you made a reference about being, you know, I don't know, for lack of a better word, an OG in the game, giving advice to younger artists. I happen to believe that younger artists need mentorship. And I think they suffer in a lot of instances because they don't have mentorship. Do you currently mentor artists? And, you know, even would you even think about formally creating something to do that?
Yeah, definitely. That's a passion of mine as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that, you know, the youngins need direction and they need more information.
Yeah.
You know, so, and I feel like us as the OGs, we have an obligation to them. We have an obligation to them to make sure that they receive the information that they need, if we have it.
Right.
And you know, that's it. That's part of being an OG. That's part of the cycle of evolving in this shit.
Right.
You know, you start out yourself as a youngin, and then you evolve into that place, and hopefully, God willing, you become successful. And along with that success comes the obligation of, you know, paying that shit forward to the next generation.
Yeah. One thing that bothered me, Pop Smoke passed away. You know, he was murdered, you know, quite frankly, in Hollywood Hills. And I didn't know him. I never met him. And it nagged me. It bothered me so, like, really, like, in a profound way, because all I could think about was this young brother just got murdered, made some perhaps mistakes, you know, some rookie mistakes that may have unwittingly caused his demise. What kind of advice would you give the young artists that are out here? Because a lot of them just don't know certain basic things that we may take for granted as OGs, as not even OGs. Some of it is simply common sense.
Yeah, I mean, you know, just be aware of your surroundings. Be respectful. Be respectful of all territories that you roam. You know what I mean? And just always look for the information. Always look for information. You know what I mean? And don't be afraid to challenge things, question things. And man, the most important thing is your instincts.
Right.
Use your instincts. Never turn your back on your gut. Right. Your gut is never gonna lie to you. All things in this world, anything that's living in this world, communicates through vibration. You know, like I feel like language was invented to hide things. But the vibe never lies.
Right.
I can sit here and talk to you and lie to you from here to across the street. I can charm your socks off.
Right.
But the vibe is not gonna lie. You can't switch that around. It just is what it is.
Right.
And if we teach the kids to pay attention and go away from things that don't feel right early on, we're in a much better place.
Yeah, definitely. Now, in sort of in tune with the sort of therapy thing, or recently, there's a show that Styles P is on. This reality show, Marriage Boot Camp, and he cried on there. He was talking about some things, some real life things. Where do you see us as black men? Where do you see black men right now? I mean, we've seen Kobe die. There's been an outpouring of emotion and almost like heartbreak from black men surrounding Kobe. Young men may not be as tuned in, I will admit, because I've seen some things that I wasn't really rocking with. But where do you see black men right now?
Who might not be as tuned in?
Younger men.
Oh, younger men.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Younger black men.
Okay.
I say that specifically around the Styles P thing because, Styles P is one of the hardest rappers we know, and to see him cry, it took me a few days to actually look at the video because, first of all, crying don't make you soft at all. You know what I'm saying?
Of course not.
But seeing some of the young people.
What was he was talking about? Something involving dealing with his wife?
Yeah.
I mean, man, like Styles been with his wife for a long time. He loves his wife. And I mean, man, like the decision you make to choose that person that you're going to spend that kind of time with and that you're going to build basically your ecosystem around is the most important decision. It can make or break success or not, life or death.
Yeah.
So I can imagine that having somebody that important in your life, anything about them in or around that situation can make you emotional. I don't care how hard you are, and it's okay. It's all right. It's all right to, it's therapeutic to let that shit out sometimes. Like bottling it up and suppressing feelings is never a good thing.
Right.
And it's not gonna take away from. Ain't nobody running up on Styles P.
Right.
That's not happening. You know what I'm saying? So
True.
And I respect Styles, man. Like I love Styles. He a legend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
So it's like, I think I didn't see it myself, and I didn't even hear about it. I'm just not hearing about it just now. But somebody like him, in his position, in the way he's respected, shedding some tears on TV, shit, I think it's good for us.
Right.
I think it's good for us because he's setting the right example. He has the credibility to be able to do that, and people understand that that's not coming from a place of being soft. That's not something you can look at and be like, oh man, that nigga, because it's somebody that's credible is doing it. You know what I mean? So,
how did as a divorce survivor, I'm calling myself a survivor.
I thought you were referring to me as a divorce survivor. I was gonna jump out that window. Hell
no, I'm actually gonna call you someone who avoided that.
Yeah, I wouldn't survive it.
Well, it's one of my heroes committed suicide after divorce. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So it's a serious thing. Talk about your wife and how you guys made it, which is an incredible accomplishment.
I attribute it to my wife's parents never split up. They had some tough times, and my parents never split up. They had tough times, and so we never seen it. We never seen it. So as bad as it got for us, we just never even viewed it as an option. It never leaving each other never was on the table.
Right.
The issue was always how to fix it. It's tough to fix.
Right.
What's going on? This nigga's acting crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it was just a big thing where it was like the big thing was just how the hell we gonna figure this out? I can't talk to this guy. He's not listening. I can't talk to her. She tripping. He won't go to therapy. You know what I mean? Of course I'm not going to therapy. I'm drunk and wanting to do what I want to do. You know what I mean? So, I mean, yeah. So we just me and my wife never even divorce was. We didn't even put that on the table.
Okay, dope. Now, the one thing I've never wanted to really talk to you about is sobriety, being an addict. It's a really, to me, it's an extremely sensitive subject. you really talk about it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it's just something. It's a label that I've never wanted to put on someone.
Mm.
But can you like talk about sobriety? You're very open with it, being an alcoholic, and how do you dodge that? How do you avoid the pitfalls in this industry?
I mean, I just personally got to a point where I was just tired of it. You know what I mean? Like it's that simple for me. I mean, I didn't dodge and avoid any pitfalls when I was drinking. I mean, I hit them all. You know what I mean? Like so. I mean, just after hitting them all, you get to a point where alcoholism is the common denominator to every problem.
Mm-hmm.
And I just got tired of it. I got tired of it, so had spiritual awakening, decided I was gonna stop.
Okay.
I felt like everything bad that could happen to a person happened to me during my tenure. I call it a tenure of drinking because I was the best.
Right.
And I mean, just I went to jail, crashed cars, got in all kinds of drama, did all types of stupid acts of violence.
Right.
Put my freedom on the line, had things done to me, won, lost. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I felt like if I didn't go with that feeling of stopping, I had a overwhelming feeling that came over me, like I got to stop.
Right.
I felt like if I didn't go with that feeling, I wasn't gonna make it. So I just, once you reach that point, that's rock bottom. Yeah. Once you reach that point, it's not easy to stop, but I mean, it's part of it at that point. Right. It's the next step.
Yeah. Talk about the song "We've Been Tricked" by you and Crooked Eye. That's one of my favorite songs.
Mine too. Mm-hmm. It's just basically saying the blanket general templated things that we've been taught that we need to either do or is a part of our reality is false. Yeah. And it goes back to what I was saying with just unlearning what you learn and just relearn the real, the truth. The things that are really gonna progress you, and we getting programmed into thinking that these things are cool, killing each other over colors and shit like that. That's learned behavior, man. That shit is indoctrinated in you. And by the time you reach an age where you have an elevated state of consciousness, it's like you already so deep in, it's just hard to get out. And I don't think that's fair, man. I don't think that's fair. I think it's only us that go through that shit. You know what I mean? So you got to look at it like we've been tricked. So the thing is just to try to reverse it.
Do you have a candidate for this year, 2020 election?
No.
None at all. You're not feeling anybody?
I don't encourage people to not vote, but I just think, when I think of politics, I just think of a bunch of propaganda and conspiracy. You know what I mean? Like, it's really just like, I don't get into politics and shit like that because it's all conflation and lies. You know what I mean? Like, nobody's truthful. Nobody's, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not so sure I understand how much power that the president really has. Right. They can have it set up in a way to where you can't even really impeach them. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They just got their story down. You know what I mean? So it's just like we got to work on us. I'm not thinking about them. I'm thinking about us.
True. Yeah. Now you have a line on the album Allegory where you say, "I'm too shady to be neutral." Now, one thing I've always avoided asking you directly about is your relationship with Eminem. And I say that, and again, it's all respectful because, again, Eminem is one of the guys that created an album in the Marshall Mathers LP, the first one. It's in my top 5 of all time, no question. But I always wanted, to give you your just due without any affiliation, even though you're closely affiliated. But that particular line stuck out to me, and I really just wanted to ask you, what the nature of your guys' relationship, like how close are you guys, or when you did this album, did you let him hear it first, or You know what I mean? Like, what's your relationship like?
Yeah, I tried to go up there and play it for him. I didn't get a chance to play it for him finish because he was working on his album.
Okay.
We're cool.
Yeah.
That's my brother.
Yeah.
That's my brother. I love Marshall. You know what I mean? Our relationship, it varies in terms of like communication.
Right.
You know, there's been times where we talk every day on the phone. There's times where we see each other just only in the studio. There's times when we see each other when we're traveling. It just depends on how we live in our lives, what's going on.
Right.
I haven't spoken to him in a while, a couple months.
Okay.
But everything is cool. He's cool. You know what I mean? I think he should be in a good place after his last album. I think he hit his target.
Yeah.
And that means he's doing fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure he's chilling with the family and shit like that. I've been super busy, super busy, and there's a lot of admiration and respect. I got the utmost respect for him. As an artist, as a person, and that's always gonna be there too. So I don't speak to him as much as I speak to like Mr. Porter.
Right. Yeah.
That's my dog. We talk every day.
Yeah.
You
shouted him out on the album too.
Yeah, always, man. Like that's my guy.
Yeah.
And it's cool.
Now, I've always maintained that this may be a little bit of a exaggeration, slightly, but I feel like you're the only guy that can go bar for bar on a whole album with Eminem without any conversation around who beat who or who's better than who. Real super evenly yoked. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I appreciate it. I think I'm the only one who has done it. So it's kind of unfair to just assume I'm the only one that would be able to. You know what I'm saying? But
Black Thought's last outing on M's album was compelling.
I think there's a few guys. There's a few guys who could keep up. You know what I mean? But I appreciate it though. I know whenever somebody says that to me, they're just giving me a compliment. You know what I mean? Because M is like he personifies lyrical greatness.
Absolutely.
Especially from a technical standpoint. So I appreciate it. I definitely appreciate it.
So you want to give us the exclusive on what happened with you and Yellow Wolf?
Nah, I'm not gonna air that out. I'm not gonna air that out. But I mean, it's just a respect thing.
Yeah.
It's not really like a super juicy story like that.
Right,
It'd be underwhelming at this point. You know what I'm saying? It's not that big of a deal. But it's just a respect thing. I'm real big on respect. I dealt with it in a way that I felt I had to deal with it. I could have dealt with it many ways, but it would have involved me getting outside of my character. So I just shot him a line just to kind of let him know that I'm aware. It's on my radar, and I keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? Like no promote negativity or like going crazy, acting like a 20-year-old. You know what I mean? Like Yellow Wolf is not. And I say this with respect. He's not like I get nothing out of that. There's nothing about him that could help me in any type of way. Nothing about scoring points off him can do anything for me. And as far as lyrically, that's not even like that's not a real thing. You know what I mean? Like it's not. It's just not. It's just not. That's a fact.
Yeah.
And he's just nothing he can say that can prove that different. There's nothing he's done that can place him in the conversation with me when we're talking about lyrically. So I don't even want to engage that. You know what I mean?
Well, just know that you have a lot of people. I'm positive too.
Yeah.
But we rock with you, so
Yeah, I mean, I could, man. Listen, I could do horrible things to him.
Right.
Do horrible things to that man.
Yeah.
I choose not to.
Right. Yo, what's up with Kid Rock? I got Kid Rock's first album, where he has a stringy hair. What's going on in Detroit where it can create an Eminem and a Kid Rock? Is there something special or in the water or? I mean, I'm from Delaware, so there's a lot of racial dynamics there. So I get some of the confusion that may occur. But Kid Rock literally started in hip hop.
Kid Rock not from Detroit.
Okay.
You know, M is from Detroit. Kid Rock is not from Detroit.
Okay.
So like, I know his whole background. I just can't remember the city. It was like he's like a rich kid growing up, which there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with that. But he's like a rich kid growing up. I can't remember the city he comes from, but it's pretty far out. It's pretty far out from Detroit.
Got you.
And you know, there's really no correlation between Kid Rock and Eminem.
Yeah.
They're actually polar opposites.
Got you.
You know, so I don't really think about him much. He's not a representative of Detroit in any way.
Yeah.
You know, he came out, he screamed Detroit a couple times, he screamed hip hop a couple times, and then he went and showed you the real him.
Yeah.
And that's cool too. That's cool too. It just is what it is, man. It's like this guy is not you know what I mean? Like we got real problems. You know what I mean? This guy is fucking fairy dust. You know what I'm saying?
Right. One thing that kind of maybe bothered me a little bit was Nick Cannon and Eminem.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know your position on that, but it bothered me a little bit because I like Nick Cannon like a lot. Like I think he's really one of the guys that represents us well.
Mm-hmm.
And to see them at odds, it annoyed me a little bit just to see them. Well, really, it was kind of like just Nick going at him.
I like Nick Cannon too. I feel like he represents us well, but I don't feel like he represents us well when he's going at him.
Yeah.
I feel like he does that thing that I won't allow Yellow Wolf to do to me. Like he's like, and not saying M does this to him, but whenever it comes to M, for whatever reason, he's not the same Nick Cannon. He goes into this mode where it's like it doesn't make him look good.
Right.
With the way that he handles it.
Right.
And like he reflects that onto others, like with the battle rappers rapping on there, nobody looked good.
Right.
And that was supposed to be a moment for that to be the absolute opposite.
Right.
And that happens when you're offended and you're trying too hard. You know, like it's like you're trying. I'm trying to ruin you. You know, and it just makes you look more agenda driven than it does.
Yeah.
An artist. And when you get that offended, I think it's just time to talk.
Yeah.
It's time to either talk or just kind of ignore it.
Yeah.
And move on, because what Marshall is doing is not coming from a place of like, you know, being offended or trying to offend. He just, you know, he doing his usual having fun with the shit, you know, thinking that, you know, everybody's going to take the jokes. You know, this guy got a show called Wild 'N Out. That's all they do is joke.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't expect him to get peeved like that. But when it comes to a man's wife and shit like that, the dynamic changes. And when you notice that that's happening, it's time to fall back from it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, none of this shit is that serious. None of this shit is that serious for.
But you had a song called Malcolm X.
Yeah, I mean,
and
that's a part of evolving in hip hop. You know, like I was a kid. I was a kid back then.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't make a diss record every time somebody got something to say now. You know what I mean? Like, the first thing I look for is a solution. Okay. You know, and people said things about me. Tory Lanez fucking tweeted for me to suck his dick on Twitter. Like,
you let him know though.
But listen, that's what I'm saying though. Like, if it was a certain point in time, all kind of records would have got made and all of this. But you have to learn how to put things in perspective. When somebody says something like that, it's predicated on too much disrespect to go to a booth. Yeah. And fans need to know this. Young artists need to know this. Like, it's not just a free for all out here. Yeah. Everything has to start with respect. If everybody's respecting each other, we can rap against each other all day. Right. If somebody's mad and it's coming from a place of, you know, niggas putting Suge Knight on records and shit like that, all of that old goofy shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, once it gets to that, now it's time to figure out a way to find a resolve or go to war. Yeah. Is it worth that? Of course not. Nah. So that's where I.
Have you talked to Lord Jamar at all? Have y'all had a conversation?
Nah, I haven't. I don't feel like we really need to, but I'm open to it. You know, I respect Lord Jamar, OG. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that we really need to talk about anything. I feel like even his thing with M is kind of like, it's passing now. Okay. Yeah, I think he made his point. Yeah. M made his point.
Yeah. And M actually admitted to being a guest in hip hop.
It's not him admitting it. He never said he wasn't.
Right. Okay.
So
Okay.
that's where the lines kind of get drawn. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it gets blurry.
Yeah.
He never said that. They never, him and Lord Jamar, that never was their argument.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Um, you're a family man. You know,
Mhm.
I mean, you've been a family man for a while.
Of course.
You know, I gotta say, man. You know, I salute your wife. I salute your kids as well for y'all maintaining y'all's unit. You know,
Mhm.
I think we need more of that in this environment.
Thank you.
Talk to me about your kids and how they feel about their father.
Um, well, I hope I hope that they that they love me with all their
Mhm.
hearts. I mean, that's what I would assume.
Mm-hmm.
I come in the house, my daughters are always super excited
Mm-hmm.
when I come walking in there, and it's a great feeling. It's
Yeah.
a great feeling. I love babies, man. I love
Mhm.
kids. I love my kids. I wish I could just keep having them.
Right.
Like if my wife was with it, I just
Yeah.
keep producing them.
Right.
I feel like that's why we here.
Right.
That's why we here. We supposed to plant our seed
Mm-hmm.
and take over the fucking world.
Right.
And I had 20 kids if I could.
Mm. Now, your son recently performed at your dinner for Allegory.
Hmm.
What's he doing?
He
He's
goes,
singing?
yeah, he goes by Daniel Hex.
Okay.
Yep.
I hope that has nothing to do with Hex murder.
Nah,
Thank God. Phew.
why you say that?
I mean, Hex is my guy, but he constantly threatens to kill me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Hex murder. He stays threatening me, calling me names, coon, and all kinds of stuff. So
Hex is crazy.
I'm glad that. Salute Hex though.
Yeah, he's a my son is a singer and a
Okay.
producer.
Okay.
I saw him beating on the table on the table in the kitchen when he was a little kid,
Mm-hmm.
and as soon as I seen that, I just took him to the Guitar Center,
Mm.
bought a machine.
Mm-hmm.
I actually had my engineer come with us,
Okay.
so he told me what to pick out. I bought him a machine. I bought him a bunch of stuff,
Yeah.
and it sat in boxes for like 2 years,
Okay.
and then he eventually unpacked, start, just, you know what I'm saying, and he eventually learned how to use it.
Yeah.
He been making fire production ever since, and he writes all this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like
Dope.
he's an incredible writer,
Mm-hmm.
got an amazing voice, just getting better.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So
Okay.
I'm excited to watch him evolve and see what he turns into. You know what I'm saying? So it's fun to all of it is fun to watch.
Dope. Now you end the album off with an ode to your father.
Hero, yeah.
Yeah. We, black men, fathers, whatever, get beat up in hip hop,
Mhm.
just pummeled. What made you end the album in that way?
I felt like after my last album, I felt like some of the fans kind of mistook the messaging as it pertained to my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because they expect and they're used to rappers, like what you just said, rappers tearing their fathers down and shit like that. So when I mention some of the bad stuff, it's almost like they weren't even capable of hearing the good stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
Because Book and Ryan is not a dark album, it's not a sad album.
Right.
Like I was in a great place doing that album.
Yeah.
So and then I heard a couple comments my dad made through the grapevine. Just when you speaking your truth and other people are involved in that truth, like it's easy for them to feel like you're airing their shit out.
Yeah.
Right. And then their recollection of how you seen things may not be like how you seen it.
Right.
And so I just felt like I needed to do that song just to kind of clarify things.
Mm-hmm.
Just to kind of clarify that, no, don't get it twisted, man. I'm not saying my dad is just some fucking abuser who just used to kick my ass for every little thing. He's my hero. Like, we got a great relationship, and along with great relationships come the good and the bad, you know?
Right.
So.
You bought him a car too. That was
I bought him a car.
That was great to see.
Yeah, I bought him a car.
Yeah.
Well, I actually bought it for my parents.
Okay.
For both of them.
For both of them. Okay.
But my dad ended up just like, where you going with the car?
Right.
Park that car. You don't need to be driving that car.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like he ended up being the person who's like controlling it. That's my dad. It's funny.
Right.
I love seeing it.
So what do you have coming down the pipeline? Well, I won't say what I see you doing, but a label maybe.
Yeah, Heaven Studios is a label.
Okay.
Um, we gonna do Kid Vicious stuff. We gonna
Okay.
do
That's your brother.
yeah, that's my
Hmm.
brother. We gonna do Ashley Sorrell stuff.
She's dope.
Yeah, she's incredible.
Incredible.
So she got pretty much an album pretty much almost done.
Okay.
It's incredible. It's
Yeah.
incredible. So I'm excited. I'm excited to work on that. And we just taking baby steps.
Mhm.
We doing the best that we can to kind of like help out.
Okay.
I'm doing the best that I can to help out anybody.
Yeah.
As much mentoring as possible, as much helping people out as possible, whatever that is, whatever that entails. If they're from Detroit, especially,
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I just had you sign my book. I don't do autographs. I like to brag about that. I don't know why, because I like to reserve autographs for only certain individuals. You know what I mean? Like Coogee Rap, LL.
Mm-hmm.
I got Chuck D
Mm-hmm.
himself today. Talk about Detroit. I'm in this book, by the way,
Okay.
because I love Detroit, and I proclaim that you guys have the scariest MCs.
Mm.
Talk about the city and where it is now, and what it has been for you.
Um, it's in a cool place. I mean, they gentrifying every damn thing.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? As far as from a hip hop perspective, um, it's evolved. Every single artist from my generation, circa '97 from the hip hop shop, eventually went on and got a record deal.
Yeah.
That opened hella doors. That
Mhm.
opened hella doors. And then now we got Shine. T Grizzly, Sada Baby, Icewear Vezo,
Mhm.
Young Rock. We got all these guys doing all of these different things. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's great, man. I think the fact that we got so many people doing it at the same time, and they all do different things at the same time.
Mhm.
I think that's something to embrace.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing. You got guys like Danny Brown.
Absolutely.
I don't listen to Danny Brown's music. I don't even really we don't even really mess with each other like that, but I respect him because he's fearless.
Yeah.
And he's bringing something new. He's doing something that I've never heard a Detroiter do.
Yeah.
And he's bringing new customers to the party.
Right.
That's how you got to look at it.
Definitely.
So I think that needs to be saluted. I think he needs to get his flowers
Yeah.
now.
I'm hoping I can get him to unblock me. He got mad at me and all hip hop couple years ago and blocked me before I could reply to his issue. But yeah, hopefully. Last question. Would you say hip hop saved your life?
Oh, absolutely.
Speak on it.
Absolutely. I mean, because I learned the most valuable, things about myself through the process of art. Through the process of the art and expressing myself through the art. And I learned my purpose in life through the art.
Yeah.
And I feel like every person needs to find their purpose. You got to get out there and you got to figure out that definition of yourself. You got to go find that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Find that place, and then live your life in the center of it. You know what I mean? And I think through music helped me to do that. Because I could have done many things, man. Like I could have just stayed in a particular neighborhood and adopted the same ideologies as everybody around me. I could have generalized a lot, and because of hip hop, I didn't do any of those things. Because of being able to travel, see the world,
Right.
And expand my mind in many different ways. So yeah, it saved my life for sure.
Word. Yo, Royce, once again, another classic album.
Love and respect to you
Salute.
always, OG.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.